Hello, everyone, and I hope you're having a great day. I'm your host, Tamara Caulder Richardson, and welcome to the Seeking Heaven channel. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like, and make comments. I have some fantastic guests that I also consider my friends, and you're my friend too. So please join my soul community and also consider being a patron and donating. All right, today we have an exciting guest who is also a very good friend. And I'm so excited about talking to her about this topic today, which is how to be a badass angel. And I'm speaking about Dr. Joan of Angel. I have to laugh because she does fit that name. And I can say that knowing Joan, she is so delightful. And I can't wait for you to meet her. And we're going to talk about a little bit of her personal journey and how she became a badass angel. And she's the first time that we talked was through, texting and then Zoom, and then I met her in person. And each step of the way has been um, just a building, excitement because she brings so much zest and joy to this world. So she's going to talk about a little bit about her spiritual journey, and then she's going to also talk about she's offering this very affordable class on how to be a badass angel and how her guides told her to do this. But she is a phenomenal artist. She speaks at these, like she just spoke at the Sedona Ascension Retreat. She had a booth there. She talks about angel fluffing. She's got several books out. Please see her website, joanofangels.com. She has grown so much. I mean, she's on big stages now. She's done George Norrie a few times. His show. She's done several podcasts, several shows. She used to be the producer of a Portal to Ascension, but now she's doing her own thing. She's taking her art to another level, as well as public speaking. And I just always wait to see what she's going to do next because she is a pistol. I mean, she is. I've never met anyone like her. So let me bring on Joan because. I don't think I've ever met anyone like you.
You know, my son said the same thing this weekend, Tamara, because I sat in the coffee shop with him and I said there were cards there. Let's play and let's look at them. And he's looking around like, who's going to look at me? Who's going to watch me? Who's going to criticize me? And I'm just opening up the cards to see what's happening. And it's kind of interesting. Fearless, yes. I have learned how to be myself. Coming out as Joan of Angel is a huge art form to be yourself this lifetime. I want to thank you, Tamara, for having me on. And that was the most amazing introduction. I was mesmerized. I wanted to know that woman.
Well, I mean, every now and then life will throw you a surprise. And when I said I actually was, I think it was on Washayla Sananda's show, and then she referred me to you. So I said, well, let me write you and get in touch. And I put it on the table about, I've had several, what do you call it? Awakenings, activations of knowing that I'm an angel hybrid. It's just taken a while to, even with halos and pictures and glowing, to like, well, that's a glitch, And then so, I recognize that in you immediately as well. And those of you watching that may not understand that, I know that seems woohoo, but you got to realize if there's some dark things out here, wouldn't God instill his angelic essence in human form? Right? That just only makes sense. And so there's actually quite a few angels walking around that don't know it, but see, I can see them now. I just go up to them and point them out. I said, you're an angel. And you know what most of them say, Joan?
What?
They go, I know.
Right. I tell them, I see them as undercover angels, but
well,
they say the same
are.
thing. No.
Yeah, or they'll go, how do you know? Like that. I'm like, how do you think I know? So when I saw you, it's funny, we're all in here, different paths, different missions, right? And this world is not easy, I can tell you. But the thing about you, Joan, is you, despite the poo that's being thrown out there in the world, you just bring the joy. You just bring it, and you have a laugh. You're like, hey, yeah, I know. What do? And you just bring it wherever you go. And I don't even see you getting upset or angry. You're like, oh well, you get kind of frustrated and you just sort of move on. But there's something to be said about not being stuck in the upsets of life, because life's going to do that. You're going to have, you know, you're going to need, your tire's going to go out. You're going to, your speech is going to be delayed 2 hours, whatever it is. And you just going to go, okay, refigure this and regroup, and things are going to go wrong. They're just going to happen. And I've seen you pivot. I've seen you turn. It's interesting. My aunt told me something years ago, and she said, well, I was planning some event, and she goes, when you plan it, because I'm very detailed. I mean, like, what is it? Compulsive OCD, like very detailed, and which is good and bad. And so she said, look, some things are going to go wrong. They're going to go wrong. And it was it was a disco party for my birthday. And I had the place that looked like it. I had stand-up things where you could stick your head through. I had the dance routine where Clay and I came down dressed. I mean, I had it all down. People were dressed up. I had costume prizes. It was a big deal. But the first thing that happened is that my gorgeous disco shoes fell off of my feet. Literally, the soles came off of my feet. And my uncle had to find tape in the club and tape my sandals on, which is so tacky, after I had this tiara and this little 70s jumpsuit, and I had the fake tan, and I had this cheesy necklace on that said my name. And so things are going to go wrong. And I've seen, because we've become friends, and I think that's a beautiful thing, because I didn't expect that. And I just feel so honored that we would stay in touch, because I said, I don't know, I left it open. I said, well, stay in touch with me. So you would say, well, I'm here, so-and-so. I don't know how I'm going to fit my luggage in, everything in my luggage, then it's going to pass through, or you're going, especially when you went to Egypt, you got a lot of stuff. So how's that going to work? And so every time I would see little things like so-and-so is not on time, or if you're holding an event, you're waiting for other people, and it's just, or it could be the weather conditions or whatever that's going on in your own health. You broke your toe and then you still kept going. And I've got to show this picture. Joan, you're just too much. This here you are with a broken toe, and you're like, and you're worried at this point. This has been going on a while. You haven't had a chance to go to the doctor. Infection is setting in. You're in a lot of pain. And what are you doing? You're riding a freaking camel in front of what is it? Is one of the tombs in Egypt. Where were you?
That was in front of the Great Pyramid in the Gaza Plateau. This was the first day of our tour.
Well, I have heard it indirectly, and so you would just text me and tell me not anything about people, but your situation, like the toe, or not fitting stuff in the luggage, or, whatever it may be, that kind of stuff, just life stuff. And so I would see these obstacles that you always had to, go through and what your next level. And even when I met you with the art, which, you do incredible angel art. And I want to set up the story, and I want you to tell everybody, about this art. And you're going to be offering a class about how to take yourself to a new level. We're going to talk about that too, how to become a badass angel like Joan, which is so needed as a webinar. I think is a wonderful idea. But when I met you, we were doing a show on the Seeking Heaven channel. I said, you're a phenomenal artist. And you're like, well, no, I was told, my mom, I really wasn't an artist. I'm a chiropractor. And I was like, no, you're an artist. So you started pulling out your slides that you had, and you started showing me, and it was just an impromptu thing. I said, oh my gosh. And then you started telling me how you painted 33 angels. So do you want to pick up and tell that story?
Oh, well, absolutely. I was in the worst of situations. I had just lost everything for the second time in my life. And here I was always talking about miracles, and I really knew I needed a miracle. And so it was Halloween 2013, and I asked my guides, I asked the angels for help. I need a miracle. And I was expecting a check, okay, just so you know. And they said, paint 33 angels in 30 days. And I was really perplexed. It's like, well, I don't do eyes, I don't paint. And then they said it again, 33 angels in 30 days. And I had another excuse. And then they said it a third time. And the third time I had chills, Tamara, because I felt like, oh my God, first of all, this is going to be the answer. This is the miracle I need, even though I can't see what that looks like. And so I said yes. I painted those 33 angels in 30 days, and we put them up in the angel loft, and a book falls off the bookshelf to the page that says your call or your cry for angelic assistance has been heard. And that was a confirmation that I was on the right path. And
Well,
I
you have been. Let's show them some pictures. I want you to see. And the thing is, you did that, but then something sidetracked you in life. I don't know. You were moving and you put it on hold. You were speaking or something happened. What happened? And then you came back to it. Then we met, and then you said you just needed a gentle reminder that that's, where there's so many facets of who we are. And I think you were busy with other facets of your life. Because then you re-engaged in a bigger way. Tell them about that. You like got a second breath, and now this is even bigger.
I did. So after I started painting those angels, I was told by my guides to move to the desert so I could hear. So I did. I moved to the desert 2015. And on the second day that I was there, I met this woman. I was introduced to someone who lived in the desert, potential friend. She says, well, what did you say your name was? And I looked at her and I said, well, I'm Dr. Joan Hangarter. And she said, oh, and she made me stop. And she said, I know who you are. You're Joan of Angels. Okay. So Joan of Angels. So I was very excited, but I have to tell you, it took me 7 years in the desert to step into what that was. So I painted, yes, I did a lot of art at that time, but I really didn't know how to, and I was alone most of the time. It was kind of a long, lonely kind of period when I look back, and I knew I needed a change. And so I talk a lot about miracles, and I believe a lot. And I've always had this vision of where I'm going. I was shown when I was 30 that I was here to heal and inspire millions of people. And I've always been motivated by that, Tamara. It's the reason I never give up, is that I just know in my heart who I am. And so I did believe that the more I held this focus, that at some point a person was going to come along that would open doors for me. And I held on to it. I didn't give up. I didn't get a job. I didn't, marry some husband to take care of me. I stuck it out because I had this vision. And sure enough, in 2020, right around the pandemic, my friend Neil Garr from Portal to Ascension had a life change and invited me to start working with him. And before you know it, I was traveling around the world working with him. And what I found out, so I put everything in storage. I have 100 and some odd original pieces of art in storage right now. But I did that because I knew this was the transformation I needed. And you, as my friend, heard the backstory, like what it took to be glamorous, like with your broken toe.
Right, you're tired and you got to put on. I've talked to you where you're exhausted. You're putting on makeup and we're FaceTiming and you're like, right, just to be on the camera, because women have to do that to be on the camera. Not so much guys as much, but women, we got to look like we have a little life in us.
120 degrees. I'm putting on makeup so I could take the tour, take people on this tour, because who knew when I was going to be in a video about it or someone wanted. Right. So, yeah. But what happened for me, Tamara, is that I became like a traveling bearer of love and light. People were attracted to me. I got to experience what a leader I really am on all aspects of working with Portal to Ascension, from leading tours to guiding people to setting up events. I discovered I had such potential once I released my fear or that little self, that little me, the one who's afraid. So once I left the desert, I caught fire. I was on fire. I lit up myself. The activations that I was experiencing caused more activations. I got to do what I really loved, which is speaking and inspiring, healing millions of people across the planet. And here I was physically anchoring these light codes around the world. So I think that's how I transformed from that time.
Well, I've seen it, and I think that it's your journey has been so inspirational, and I think looking at your artwork, and I just want everybody listening, think about yourself right now. Just think about it, even if you got to close your eyes. Just stop for a minute for yourself, and think about all the facets of you, whether you're, a wife, a mother, a business person. What kind of spiritual practice do you have? Within that spiritual practice, how many of those spiritual arts do you do? And I'm looking at your art, which is beautiful. The angel, oh, look at the angel wing. She's going to go get her angel wing. It's so beautiful. And then look at the heart center, the angels with the heart center. That's so beautiful. Beautiful. It looks stairway to your heart. And then this angel looks like, to me, it looks like that it's holding mercy and grace for humanity. And then this is just star beauty right here. And then this is angel emotion. I mean, that's not the name of it. That's what I'm calling it. But there's just a few of the artwork, which you can see at Joan of Angel and by her artwork. But one of the things that I told Joan is, I don't know if you remember me telling you, I said, your artwork, and you probably already knew it. It just sort of like, that confirmation. But I said, your art, because you, whatever you do, whatever form, whether it's painted or whatever form you do, whatever that you touch, you infuse your essence in it. So when people touch your art or view your art, they're activated into a higher level of vibration. And you proved that at the Sedona Ascension conference, where you had a person that was really sad and their vibration was low, and you said, come up here. And you tested her muscle testing, and she was at a lower state. And then you said, hold my painting now. And her vibration rose, and her frequency rose. And you tested for that. You muscle tested for that. And we forget as people, whether an angel hybrid or you have an angel heart and you're here to help others, our presence means a lot. Just our presence, if we're carrying love in our hearts, we don't even have to say anything, but if we say something, or if we have services that we offer, all those are an extension of who we are. And it's important for us to protect that and have integrity around that. And how we want to come out in this world, we need to think about how we want to do that. And I think that sometimes that we just follow if we listen, our next step. And that's what you've done. I've watched you do it. You know how I tell people, live by spirit. Now, if you keep getting, test it out. If you get 3 times and you keep praying about it, being in meditation, and it keeps telling you, go to the desert, then what do you need to do? You need to go to the desert.
You need to go to the desert. Otherwise, your energy gets all screwed up. You go into resistance. You end up being depressed, even though you don't know why that caused it, because you've already forgotten that you had said no. On a timeline, we continue. You're not in the same future you would have been in had you said yes.
You're changing your okay, good point, Joan. See, this is why you're my angel sister. Changing timelines. There's things that I really believe this. If you're not a little frightened and excited at the same time, then you're not taking your next step. And I think that whatever that next step is different for different people. And you're going to be talking about some of this in your class, right? So tell us how this angel, this badass, learn how to be a badass angel, because you sent me a text when you did it, and you said, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to teach people how to be a badass angel. I was told to do it. I'm going to do this. And that was like, and you're like, can you believe it? And I could just hear you laughing behind that. And then I thought about it, and I went, I tell people to put on their big girl panties. It's kind of the same thing, but to actually walk through examples and to bring your stuff into a class that's sacred and safe, I think is a great idea. It's super affordable. What is it, like $47, $49? What is it? It's
Something
super
like that. I think
something
it's
like that.
47.
Yeah, it's really affordable for, a
Mhm.
2-hour webinar, but I'm going to put the link below. So tell us, that's how that, I don't know. How did that come to you? Because you sent it to me. I was like, that sounds fun.
So I'm going to tell you the backstory to it, but the front story was when I reached out and told you I was going to do it. It was right before I went to the Conscious Life Expo, and as I was getting ready, it's 24 hours before, I go, really, what should I offer people? And it was like badass angel, and I'm going, no, I'm not going to go there and just promote that. And then it was like yes, and then yes again, and I stayed up all night making those flyers and setting up this class because it made me. So my backstory, first of all, is that really I never spoke up for myself my entire life. And stepping into power and leadership as a doctor of chiropractic, as a speaker, it's really important you learn how to manage your presence and power and learn things like boundaries and saying no. But I was a
Yes.
people pleaser. So being a leader or showing up in the world has always been in conflict with people pleasing. So, in the old days, if I had a boyfriend that said, well, I'm not going to go there, then maybe I wouldn't have gone there either. I didn't have firm boundaries my entire life, guys. So I don't want you to think that I came out of the womb as a badass angel, because I did not. The tools I'm going to show you are the ones I've really had to learn myself. As women, it's like you have a cork in your throat chakra. It's like the male patriarchy came, put a cork in here, plugged it up, and whether it's there energetically or not now, you're plugged up. And so learning how to speak our truth as people-pleasing women is a big deal. Learning how to stand up for yourself. And Tamara was talking to you about how I showed people how the art raises your frequency.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I also do, I don't know if I did it that night, is I teach you how to protect yourself wherever you go. So I don't know if this ever happened to you, Tamara, but when I was younger, you walk by a construction site and there's guys there and it's like they have nothing better to do, right, than look you up and down. Do you remember those days? I'm sure it happened to you. You're gorgeous, right? And how uncomfortable it feels in your body. Okay, you've been violated. So I teach a practice where we learn how to zip ourselves up, literally, energetically, so that it won't happen. It won't happen. You're protected. So that too, it's like learning ways to experience situations that are almost demeaning, but learn how to manage them and change them so I can be feeling empowered. Learn to say no.
One thing I'm getting out of what you're saying is more than that. I had something pop up, and I want to mention this for people watching, especially women. I got to tell you, when you said that, it rushed back. These are things. Okay, true. Let's talk some truth right here. If you've been around a lot, especially the days where sexual harassment wasn't as big a deal, it went on. Okay. I remember having a client and I didn't know how to handle it. I was kind of petrified. I had a client and it was two men executives that owned a company and they did a pilot training program, right? Software and pilot training. And they would make very inappropriate passes. I mean, and they would kind of block me in the doorway and I'd say, okay, well, bye. And I would like rush out and wouldn't know what to say. And so I think looking back on it now, would I have changed things? Would I have done things? But they were trying to be the big guy, I didn't feel like they were going to physically harm me or do anything like that. I didn't feel like that, but boundaries, they were testing them. They were testing the boundaries. And so you look at when someone has a low tone base behavior, That's what it is. The guy's whistling or that kind of stuff, squishing you in so you have so little room to
Right.
get around them, all that kind of stuff. That any kind of inappropriate behavior or anything that crosses your boundaries, women, in my opinion, have not had a safe place to really talk about that unless they talked about it in the home, and most don't. They've just kind of swept it on the rug and just sort of forced through life. But when you go to these higher levels for your business, you have to be this way. You can't always have an agent. And I know people that have had agents and so forth. And who are they looking out for? They're looking out for them, the highest percentage. And usually you're not their only client. So you have to learn to be able to stand up for yourself without pissing people off, ideally at the same time. So how can you do it where everybody wins? And that's where it gets tricky.
Right.
Don't you agree? That's the tricky part, especially I feel, I'm going to put it on myself. Okay. I'm just going to put it on myself. Sometimes I found, and write it in the chat if there's any females here that agree with this, and this class is open to everybody, but just as a female talking right now, when you try to assert yourself, and I don't mean be a bully, I just mean like, no, I disagree with that. That's not going to work for me. If you do that in front of some males, not all, I'm married to a great guy, but, and there's a great guy. I have a lot of great guy friends, but some males, you will piss them off just because you were questioning what they presented, because that doesn't work with your whatever agenda. And so how do you work with these dominant type people, or it's not always males, but when you get that, how do you work through that? Because the higher up you go, you got to work with all kinds of people. Now, is this the kind of thing you're also going to be addressing?
Yes, we're going to talk about how to defuse certain situations and how to really set your boundaries and be firm and not collapse. I was thinking while you were talking, when I had my chiropractic office, there was one guy, he was an attorney, he'd come in and he would take his pants off and get on my table. And I would be like, I had a cork in my throat, Tamara. I couldn't, and finally one day, because I didn't want to lose him as a client, I think he was a cash patient. What could I say? I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed, like I had done something wrong, even though this was not my behavior. And I'll never forget the last time that he came in. I just looked at him. I threw his pants at him and I said, if you want to get treated, put your goddamn pants on. And I walked out of the room.
Okay.
And he put his pants on.
Did he come back again?
Yeah, actually he did. But he put his pants on. And I realized that if I could just remove that block to my speech.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking when I saw him. It's like, I don't want to use bad language on here. I was pretty pissed. I was humiliated.
It
I felt
elevated.
ashamed.
It elevated. Mm-hmm.
I felt less than, and to be a badass angel became really sort of a metaphor for me of speaking truth, of saying, no, that won't work. No way.
Well, the thing is, and I think you have a good point there, because you let it build up in you, and most women do. I'm talking about stuff raw. We're talking about it right now, that it builds up and then you don't want to say. I'll tell you another example. Women got this stuff hidden inside of them. I'm telling you. Now, maybe men too. Okay. But it's crossing boundaries. I remember being at the chiropractor, and I get this. This is, people do crazy stuff. It's all, and so I'm at the chiropractor. And this just happened to be a chiropractor, and my husband would go there too. He was very busy. He had a very busy practice. And so a lot of people would say the guy looked like my husband. I never really saw that, but whatever. Anyway, I went in to get my x-rays of my chest. And I didn't know if I pulled a muscle or what was going on. And I have scoliosis. I need work. And I've been going to chiropractors on and off different ones for years. I go to a female now. Anyway, so he looked at the x-rays and I thought in my head, but I didn't say it. I thought, he's looking at my chest x-rays, which is creepy because it's a skeleton, but he's looking at the fat cells of where the breasts are. And I thought, that's creepy. That can't be. So I thought, well, that's just whatever in my head. It was like one or two times after that I saw him, he got very close to me and he says, "Do you know, Brett, big breasts make men happy." And then I was like, I didn't know what to say because standing outside the door was his 5 kids and his wife. And I felt so bad for his wife and his kids. I was just so shocked that he was so unprofessional. I didn't know what to do. I told my husband, and my husband, he thought that was funny. He's like, because their guys are different. Because he's like, he did that really with his family standing out the door. He goes, wow, he's got a lot of nerve, that worm. And so, because he thought he was kind of wormy. But the thing is, that's not how I reacted. I was mortified. I wasn't looked at as a patient. I was looked at as a sexual female, and that's not appropriate. And so that's a lot of these kind of things come up that women don't talk about. And even just not getting the respect, that the same as men do, even in the speaking business. The same
Right.
thing is true. And about we shouldn't have to get an agent to speak for us. We should speak for ourselves from our
Right.
truth and not let it escalate. So I've seen you've done things, and you've done things with grace and with beauty and with power. So we don't have to make a big altercation of it unless that person wants to, of course. But you have really push through some bizarre situations, and I'm just really impressed the things that you pushed through. But I think once you did it, didn't it turn on a switch like, I should have been doing this all along?
So empowering to speak your truth, and so empowering to listen to, I think, that voice within, that intuitive guidance that we all get, and follow it. Make a quick judgment call and go, I'm speaking my truth, as opposed to, holding it in, swallowing it, and then getting terrible results, feeling frustrated and trapped. Because when situations are humiliating you, we have to start speaking up for ourselves. We have to be able to recognize it and speak our own truth and not take it. And also, something else I'm going to talk about in the class is being able to, using discernment, looking at certain situations, people, places, and things, and determining ahead of time how, kind of, the vibrational frequency of it, how appropriate will those people be for you, how what the situation, this party you're going to, this meeting you're going to look ahead and have some clarity ahead of time about the possible outcomes that could be happening and about the vibrational level for you. And that is really what I see. I call it precognitive discernment, basically precognitive awareness. So that if you suddenly realize that you're going into a lion's den, you're prepared, you know how to handle it, you know how to dress for it, like dressing provocatively for a meeting, where you're going to be looked at as a sexual object isn't a smart move, how you're going to show up. Just different ways you can see it ahead of time. And if it doesn't look like it's going to work for you, don't go. Don't even do it. Abort. It's a good word for that. Good use of that word. Abort. Get it over with. Don't even bother. And so and that's even another thing for women, especially women, to say no. Oh my God. How many times have you said yes because you felt bad saying no, even though you wish you could have? So these guilt buttons and shame buttons get pushed and pulled until we get off our own path and we're on someone else's because we're helping them so much.
Yeah, and I think it also is tapped into value, and I think that you could say that that especially females, they might undervalue themselves or not see their total value. But then again, others, and I'm not saying just men, others may take advantage of it. So I think it's important to be strong in your values and what you bring to the table. And like you said, plan out those scenarios. Will that work or not? I have to tell you, there's some places I don't know. I can't foresee how that's going to work. I don't feel like it's going to be bad. I don't feel it's going to be bad, but I just don't know exactly the good. And sometimes I'm told to show up and I just have to show up. And I think when those situations happen, it's because it's some kind of training for me.
It is, and it's about preparation. You know, I believe in being spontaneous, but these days I believe in being prepared, because anything can happen. You know, it's like knowing you're going to go out. It's hot today in the desert, but when I go out tonight, it might be cool. So I'll make sure to take a sweater.
Mhm.
I'm preparing. You know, I'm looking at the future going, oh, well, it'll be cold tonight, and preparing. And so if we can look at things that we're doing and really determine, we can have a better outcome. We can know what we would want to say in certain situations.
So now
We're
with
gonna
this,
practice.
we're gonna, well, good, because I think it's good. One thing I used to do years ago was practicing bull baiting, and I had an art director. He's now crossed, and it's all fine. But he was very abrupt because he was Dutch German, and he was just really pissed off clients. And he was so abrupt, he got under my skin after a while. And so I had a person pretend he was him, and he would say all the things that pushed my buttons till I got flat. So when he would say things, I'd be like, I was just bored about it. And that was really helpful too, is to practice these situations that you think that might come up. It is helpful. But tell everybody how to register for this class. I know that I registered, and I just went, how to be a badass angel, and it came up in Eventbrite. So how many badass angel classes are there? There's only one. Right. And so, and it was an Eventbrite, but you can also click this link below, which I do have it in the chat, and you can click it and it'll take you right there. But if you, for some reason, get lost, how to be a badass angel and Eventbrite, and you'll see Joan of Angel's pictures there, and you'll see her picture to be able to sign up. But I know you're going to be working with people live and whatever they bring into the table, and you're going to also have outline of what we're going to go over that day, the points that you feel that's important that you've had to learn. I have a sneaking suspicion this class is going to evolve into other classes, because everybody's going to be bringing their can of worms and dumping it on your table. And you're going to go, oh, these are some bigger issues. So we'll see if that happens.
That's really cute. Yes. And, we haven't talked about who's this class really for, right?
Yeah.
So it's for those of us, and this class is for me, honestly, to refresh my memory on how to set boundaries, say no, and go after what I want. Not let me be pushed off, not let you get pushed off path by what other people want you to do or see for you. It's like really anchoring in your identity of who you are and where you're going. And so if that's been an issue for you, you'll love my class. Plus, I have a great sense of humor. Look at the name of the class, Badass Angel. Every time I say it, I can't stop laughing inside or outside.
Oh my God. It's just so funny. And I'm going to put this up. So I agree. I think the boundaries are good. I think the things like when I was very young and these creepy things came up, now that I'm older, I would go, you know what I would do now? You know what, it was my angels that told me this.
What did they tell you?
Another story, another time, but it was a stage show when someone was trying to take over my stage show. It was crazy. Brought their materials there and everything. They just set up at my show. And then they started standing up and taking over. So my angels, the women were mortified that were two shamans that were helping me. They were like, oh, Mother Mary Rose is over Tamara. They didn't know. They were just mortified. They said, I didn't know what to say when he just said, well, I'll be setting up over here. I mean, this for my show, I paid for the place and everything. My guide said in my ear, and I use it now from now on, and that was 15 years ago. They said in my ear, that's not appropriate. And I use it now. So when someone says blah, 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 I said, yeah, that's not appropriate. And I say it real crappy like that too. I say it like a mom would look down at the kid and go, that's not appropriate. I don't say that's not appropriate. I say it like you're being an ass. I say it. That's inappropriate. I say it real crappy.
Right.
And and it works great. That's just one of my techniques that my guides told me. And so now if something's really creepy like that, I may even go, ooh, that's inappropriate. Mm-mm.
Yes.
And I
it's just
embarrass
like
them.
a kid. If you were raising a kid, you would be on it and you wouldn't think twice.
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't
And
even
some people
change the
act like
tone of
that.
your voice. It just comes out like, get those pants on. You know what the
Well,
you
and
know
but
what
now,
I mean.
but then that worked for that too. But actually, I wish I had thought of that. I was in a dumbfounded moment, and they said in my ear, "Say it's not appropriate." And so now, what I do is I embarrass someone if it's really inappropriate, especially if it's a male thing. I mean, it has to be if it's done in nice, fine. But if it's something creepy, I'll go, "That is not appropriate," and, and then they usually cow down and run away. So I think that kind of stuff is handled, but I think negotiations and power things, I think at this level is kind of the stuff I'm interested in and excited about taking in the class because contracts, things like this. I used to own an ad agency for years and we did contracts, but you go to different levels, and so I think that that's where I am, as to how to refine that where I can get what I want without it being a conflict where if I can try to hold my boundaries, but give the person a little grace at the same time. And that's tough.
It is
That's
tough.
it's tough. And you can't always do it. Because you have to put your boundaries first. But I know for me, that's what I'm going to bring forward in the class is how do you maintain that balance between the two when negotiating and holding your power? And, and I guess at some point you have to be willing to just walk away.
Well, absolutely. You have to be willing to walk away. But, the first response of really speaking your truth in a sharp or disappointed usually gets people's attention, especially if they're not expecting it to you. But those are the things we are going to talk about, different aspects. Listen, it's only a 2-hour class, so we'll cover a lot of your questions and get started. And if we need a deeper dive, we will. But I'm just very excited to teach it. I love teaching groups. It's my favorite thing to do.
You're good at it.
I'm excited. So I do hope you ladies, you humans who really want to learn how to
or
get
non-humans
life, or non-humans,
or
yes.
hybrids,
starseeds. Yes, you're all included.
Well, I tell you what, and just speaking to the star seeds alone, people go, "What's that?" Well, you might not be one, or you're not activated yet. But either way, we love you. It's hard being on this earth. Yeah, we've been here several times, but now we remember, like, what this is. The things here are a little bit awkward. They're a little bit strange. So we need help sometimes navigating this planet, especially when we come into especially spiritual leaders, Joan. I don't know what you think about that. We'll end on this. And I want everybody to register right now. You've got it below. Again, you get lost, Eventbrite, Badass Angel. You can't miss it. It pops right up. It's such an unusual title. It pops up. You cannot miss it. All over the world, Eventbrite, boom, pop right up. But when you're a spiritual, I want to go into this just quickly. When you are a spiritual practitioner, a light worker, right? And whether you do this from your own heart or for pay, but you're a light worker, right? And as you become more so like that and your heart opens up and you become more heart-centered, right? Which is where the Palladians, the Assyrians work from their heart up. Their chakra starts kind of hearing up. You work from your heart center. You have more opportunities to have your heart stomped on because there is duality in this world, especially positions of power you're trying to reach. You're going to meet these people. And so starseeds generally are more love-based, more heart-based. And so I think that alone, that might be your next class right there, working from the heart and coming into power as a starseed. I just gave you your next class. Boom, because that's really needed. Just the starseed practice. You don't have to be a practitioner, but if you're a practitioner, how do you go into power positions with these kinds of people without your heart being crushed and still maintaining that love flow and not blocking that love flow? That would be a good one. That's a tough one. So I think it's staying connected to people like you. That's how.
So cute. You're so cute. Listen, we all
All
come
right.
in with a soul contract, a mission, and we need to work through what keeps us from doing it. And
No, you're
all of
right.
or speaking it, or if you don't speak your truth, you're going to go off your course. So this is actually really critical in terms, if you're determined, if you're focused on getting to really live your purposeless life, your vision, or having a life aligned, body, mind, and spirit for your happiness. So yeah, you got to do it, folks.
Right. It's your next step. It was whatever that little teeny thing that's holding you back. And it's usually always something really small, usually. And take that next step. It's like layers of an onion. Just take that next layer, that next step, and take the class. Register. You've got it on Eventbrite. I put your Bitly, your link here. You can click there. Thank you, Joan, and thanks for your stories today and sharing. We got a little bit real with people, but I think that these are things people don't talk about because they just kind of want to forget it. But the thing is, we
Right?
need to be prepared in life and how to handle inappropriate behavior, how to handle negotiations, how to own your own boundaries and do it with grace. And I'm excited you're doing this, and I'm excited about the class because I'll be there, so you'll see me there. So everybody have a beautiful day. Thank you, Joan. Thank you for shining your light in this world and being a light to others. And you're like the ever ready bunny. I just don't know what to think about you. You just keep going. All right. Much love, everybody. Thank you. I love you, Joan. Bye.